This is an analysis of the Harvard Business Review case involving fictional companies Raydar Electronics and KK Incorporated. Pertinent facts to the case. Because there were experts in the field of tracking technology, Raydar Electronics and companies like it were being branded as the enemy by a network army comprised of politicians, consumer advocates, religious leaders, and executives at other companies. Although their technologies were garnering a lot of negative attention from some groups, Raydar's technologies were also being used in a manner that customers saw as positive, for example, in the areas of merchandise loss prevention and supply chain efficiency. The sharp divide in opinions regarding RFID technology was projected in governmental agencies. Some agencies, such as the FDA, found beneficial uses for the technology, such as tracking expired drugs. But the potential for misuse of RFID technology drove cyber-related and consumer-related privacy legislation at both the state and federal levels of government. And the European Union, Asia, and Canada already had regulations governing the collection, use, and the disclosure of personal information. One thing was certain. KK Incorporated, in revamping its image, had made a name for itself amongst the who's who of the fashion world. KK Incorporated's reputation amongst teens was bolstered by articles in teen lifestyle magazines such as Teen Vogue, YM, and 17. Parents were informed of KK Incorporated's new image by an article in the Sunday Style section of the New York Times.
The key issue to this case is based around the next question. What should the CEO of Raydar Electronics advise KK Incorporated do about tagging its products? To solve the question that was presented with the key issue, our team has devised 3 potential courses of action. First, we advise for the full implementation of RFID technology in KK Incorporated's product lines. Second, we advise that KK Incorporated does not tag any of its product lines with RFID technology. Our last potential course of action is start a VIP club. This club will use consumer information from RFID technology and a loyalty rewards card in conjunction with VIP-only merchandise. This will give various perks and accessibility to deals in exchange for them being a member and wearing VIP gear with RFID technology.
One potential course of action was for Raydar Electronics to advise KK Incorporated to fully implement RFID technology in its product lines. A good public education program could give KK Incorporated a competitive edge. Transparency regarding how the RFID technology is used can keep consumer fears in check, which can be a major issue. For example, in March 2003, it was reported that Benetton, a clothing brand popular amongst late teens and 20-somethings for its cross-cultural spirit, was planning to tag 15 million articles of clothing. The products would be tracked from manufacturing to point of sale, and since the RFID tags would remain active after the point of sale, returns could be tracked also. Calls from consumer advocacy groups to boycott the brand compelled the CEO of Benetton to explain that the company only had plans to test the technology to see if it bore a large enough return on investment. Now, if KK Incorporated were to choose full implementation of RFID tagging, they could market the use of RFID technology as an added feature to their product lines. There are some cons associated with full implementation of RFID technology. Namely that the potential cost of tagging all products with RFID technology may be greater than KK Incorporated is expecting. Also, public opinion on the use of RFID technology has not been favorable due to concerns over privacy and usage of data gained from that technology. Now, laws pertaining to the use of RFID technology and the data that's collected, as previously stated in the facts, have already been introduced in some states and also in portions of Europe, Asia, and Canada. The second potential course of action is to advise KK Industries not to implement RFID tagging of its products. One pro is that they avoid legal privacy issues altogether. They also avoid the question of what a teen's rights are concerning privacy. Last year, a Texas teen was suspended indefinitely for refusing to wear an RFID device meant to track the whereabouts of students after the class bell rings, and a federal judge upheld that ruling. Another pro is that KK Industries avoids damage to its reputation due to the growing network army disapproval of the technology. They can also continue to nurture the trust built between teen customers and the company. And finally, KK Industries can avoid costly reversal in the future due to legislation trends. There are some drawbacks to this course of action. Upper management at KK Industries is very excited about the idea of tagging its products, so a recommendation not to implement the project could result in Raydar getting the boot. Then KK Industries could decide to proceed with the project using one of Raydar's competitors. It would put Raydar at a competitive disadvantage if the project is a success. Also, KK Industries recognizes that the customer data is just as valuable as the sales revenue. So even if they decide not to implement the RFID tagging project, they realize that they will be losing part of the potential value of the product with each transaction.
I'll be discussing the potential course of action of creating a VIP club with RFID branded merchandise. The pros for this course of action is that it allows for better tracking of consumer trends than not branding any merchandise with RFID tags. This course of action also creates a sense of exclusiveness with a VIP club section in stores. This will drive the demand of RFID tracking by the consumer, so KK Incorporated is not seen as driving it themselves. This is much more transparent than branding all the merchandise in the store with RFID tags. This allows consumers to opt out by not being part of the VIP club. The cons to this course of action are as follows. It's more complicated rollout than just including it in all the products across the board. It's going to be a little more complicated on the supply chain side to have a line of VIP merchandise and non-VIP merchandise. And also it's potentially more costly. There's more to do on the marketing side, there's more to do on the branding side, and overall there's just more work for KK Incorporated involved in this course of action. Also potentially customers may lose interest once the exclusivity of the VIP club begins to wane after time, but really that's true of any consumer trend. So our recommended course of action is to create the VIP club with the exclusive branded merchandise that has the RFID tracking in it. This allows for the most effective application of the RFID technology into gaining consumer insight without being off-putting to the consumer, because we're not forcing this technology on them, we're merely offering it as an enhancement to the consumer experience. And it's one of those things that maybe once later there's enough groundswell of support from the consumer, it's something you can roll out more broadly, but instead by doing it this way, it makes the consumer demand it rather than KK Incorporated push it on the consumer. So in this way it's a lot more transparent to the consumer since they're choosing it, it's voluntary, and it's fun for the consumer because you have this VIP section and they're getting deals and sales before the rest of the general public. So that's the part that's going to make them flock to it rather than KK Incorporated have to push it. And so like I said, that exclusive nature of the VIP section would drive adoption of the VIP gear with RFID tracking, which allows us to have all the benefits that we discussed earlier in terms of being able to greet the consumer personally when they come into the store and being able to track their buying and spending habits.